My name is Gonzalo Valverde. I'm 36. Grew up in Andalusia, southern Spain, city called Sevilla. I live between Seville and the rest of Europe a little bit because I work for a venture travel company, and I spend and during the summertime I spend a few months in Iceland and Northern Europe, in the Netherlands, also in France, and ultimately Portugal. That is, like, I don't live in just one place, but most of the time when I'm home, I'm in Seville. So I started sailing as a kid, like many others, but when I was 17, I started teaching at a sailing school at the beach in Cadiz, which is in the south part of Spain as well, by the coast. By making people move from a state where they were afraid of being in a boat to being able to be comfortable and steer the boat themselves, that helped me see how I could help others. And essentially, it's adding comfort to people in an environment where they're not used to. And this is, in this case, it's a boat, but actually you can apply it to many things. After that, I became a ski instructor, where also you take folks in a rough or environment in the mountains and teach them and make them feel comfortable. I think this is applicable to every aspect of work, but even more importantly in life. So I would say teaching. I learned sailing in the river Guadalquivir in Seville. It's a river that connects, one of the largest rivers from the south of Spain, that connects to the Atlantic Ocean. And the city where I live is just by the river, so there's a small area by a lock where we had a few boats there, and the sailing club of Sevilla, Club Náutico de Sevilla was, and the club where I started sailing, it was based, and we would learn sailing there in Optimis and lasers when we were, I think the first time I sailed was I was 11 years old. And after that, when you get proficient enough to sail on the river, on the calm waters, and you were able to steer your boat, we would go to Cadiz, the Bay of Cadiz, which is also known as a world-class sailing spot for teams to train. Many teams from Northern Europe come south to Cadiz and sail. And this is where we continue. All of my buddies continue to develop as sailors, sailing on the ocean with different conditions. And then after that, we will go and race all over the south of Spain, mostly from all the way east, Almeria, to Granada, Malaga, Cadiz, and Huelva, over on the west side of southern Spain. And that's how that was our sort of area where we sail, yeah, Mediterranean Sea and Atlantic Ocean. I currently am not sailing much. However, it's always in the back of the mind. I just a few weeks back here in Reykjavik, I was just chilling by a beach there is in the city, and there's a few guys that show up out of a hangar with a couple of boats. So naturally, just went to them, hang out, chat a little bit, and it right now not sailing, but it's in the back of my mind. And I did a lot of racing when I was little, and little mean from 12 to 16, more or less. And then afterwards, when I was 21, I started racing a little more seriously on catamarans, and did another 4 years of racing in different type of boats, catamarans, and also crew boats with 35, 30-foot boats. And when I was little, that was the learning process. So we would have training sessions every weekend during the weekdays, sometimes Thursdays or Fridays. They would have theory training and also maintenance of the boats. We were sailing Optimis at the time, so we had to take care of our own boats, all the rigging, even the hulls, and if there were any scratches or cracks on it, and we were responsible for our own equipment. So there was a lot of preparation. When I was older, I would say my second stage of sailing, when I became a sailing instructor at the age of 18, and then started racing again at 21. we had a more serious setting in or training schedule with my partner Luis, who used to own a tornado, and he invited me to race with him and sail with the goal of, uh, do as much as we could in the nationals and eventually win the nationals of catamarans in Spain. So dedication and strict training was part of it during the ages of 21 and 25. Most of my weekends and were dedicated for not only sailing in the boat, but more strategy, uh, sailing and tactics, physical training a lot because those boats are very demanding. So I had to spend some time in the gym and make sure that we were able to keep up with the long training sessions on the ocean. My parents were very adventurous and they've lived a very adventurous life, skydiving, windsurfing, skiing, traveling. So I think it wasn't too complicated for them to put me in a boat at the age of 11 and let me figure out how to steer that. Obviously, I had instructions and there was a sailing instructor that taught me sailing, but it was my family who encouraged me and gave me the opportunity to go there every weekend, wake up early, drive all over the south of Spain for different races and take me over. Had a time that I was a little bit sick of sailing because it was pulling me away from my friends, so I quit sailing. And then soon after, I think a year or 2 years after, when I was close to 18, in the summer, I started sailing in the sailing school at the beach. And I realized that was a great combo where I could have fun with my friends in the summertime, but also sail. And that made me continue sailing because I discovered the opportunity to teach people and still have fun with sailing. And that was a rediscovery of sailing for me that led me into my more semi-professional career. What I find more interesting about sailing is that you have yourself in a machine that is an environment that you have to coordinate all these elements to make it work. So I studied engineering at school, so I have a very analytical mind, and I realized that when I was on a boat, in order to make it go where I wanted, there was a few things I needed to do, and there has to be a connection between all of those. So for me, the all the elements that are the inputs that you get when you're on a boat and you have to manage and orchestrate, it will make it special. And the fact that you're moving on the water with no more than the power of the wind and your own decisions makes it thrilling and I say exciting. I do like going fast, and on the water, everything is magnified. When I started sailing on catamarans, I realized how quiet and how fast you could go at the same time if you know how to properly trim your boat. So going fast is definitely a thrill. However, um, there are moments on races where you can't go fast because there is not enough wind, and then it's important that you're able to switch your mind and focus on the tactics more than the actual technique of sailing because it might be more important to tack at the right time or jibe at the right time and place your way in the right spot, and you're moving very slow. Yeah, it is very exciting and there's still a lot of adrenaline in there because you want to get the most out of the little wind you have, no? On a cat, when you sit on a catamaran and the moment you get out of on the trapeze, a moment, even though I've done it probably hundreds of times, if not thousands, uh, it seems to be always incredible because it's the moment you're starting to go downwind and the boat accelerates and you have to trust yourself with where you're placing your weight. You have to trust your crew member. In this case, for me, was my skipper, and make sure, or not make sure, but trust that he does what he knows best, and you do what you know best in order to make that boat fly over the water. So those moments are very vivid in my mind, and I've done both, mostly crew, but I have also skip. My family and we own a F-18, so when we sail on this boat, I usually skip. Still, you might be sitting in the hull of the boat, steering the boat, but your crew is just behind you, strapped in, and with controlling the spinnaker. Um, you both have to be coordinated. So that is the most exciting time of sailing that I can remember. Sailing, if you want to race or you want to do more than just go out in the bay and have some fun, it needs to be a priority because it requires a lot of logistics and preparation. I would just say short and sweet, go out to the sailing club or the yacht club and hang out and be nice to people, and you'll get something back for sure. Being nice and interested can help you a lot. And that's helped me a lot when I first went by. I was 17 and I'm walking by the beach and I see these two catamarans sailing and I remember that. So I just walk up to the little container where there was a guy who started the sailing school. And just by chatting with him and saying, "Hey, I know sailing. Can I help you with anything?" And that led me to the next summer have a full job as a sailing instructor. And afterwards, word of mouth, another guy on catamarans knew that I was sailing and I was a good instructor. He offered me to be crew of his boat on the Tornado. So we sailed and we ended up winning the Spanish Inter-Series catamaran in 2010 after sailing all over the country in the east, in Galicia, in Catalonia, down in Alicante, or we won the Spanish Championship in 2010. So that boat that we sailed then was sold to a man in Austria. And I happened to go to Austria, to a completely different city, with a student scholarship for my degree in engineering. And all of one day, I received an email from this man, Dominic, who's in Salzburg, 3-4 hours away from where I was, saying like, "Hey, I just came back from Cadiz. I bought a Tornado." And when I said I was from Austria, someone told me that a crew guy was in Austria and they just had recently won the nationals. So I'm here when the spring comes. You're welcome to come home and I'll uh, build a boat together and maybe go sailing in the lake. And so we did. And right now, then we became really, really, really good friends and sail. Um, yeah, that's a great example of how, unconnected events led me to sail in a different country. So I happened to be in Berkeley for 3 weeks. We raced around the Alcatraz Island it's called the Pumpkin Race. At the end of the race, the owner of the boat asked me like, "Hey, are you around for a few weeks? We have another race in 2 weeks. Do you want to come up and be part of the crew?" And I mean, it was a fun thing. I mean, during holidays, I happened to be there for work, and I extended my time to do holidays, and it fit. So I got to sail 2 more times in the Bay Area on a 60-foot classic called Shamazan boat. That was incredible, really, really fun. And so yeah, in the end, sailing has to be also fun and it's very engaging and social. So I would say that those are pretty cool aspects of the sport.